Okay, so we appreciate you joining us. I feel like IDRC does a bunch of work, a bunch of times trying to disseminate information that we have. So for some of you, it may be a repeat. And if it is, and you're wanting to do something else, feel free to log off. I will try to share some new things that we're doing. For those of you that are brand new to us, welcome. We are I think we're the largest SIG. Right now with IDRC, we're 26 states starting October 1. We have 33 that are joining us. So we're really excited for that. And the opportunity to work with so many states is a chance for us really to learn and to be able to see together needs. And it's really been an advantage so that we can kind of see everyone's needs at the same time. And so one thing that we keep seeing is that there are a lot of new people. So just on the call today, there are 20% of you that have been here 1 year or less, according to the poll. There are 23% of you that have been two to 3 years with the program, 6% that are 4 or 5, 21% 5 to 10 years, 16% 10 to 20 years, and 13% more than 20 years. And so this will be my 23rd year with Migrant Ed. I didn't know what I was starting in years ago, and it's been a really fun ride. So thank you all of you for joining us. Our focus today, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jessica Castaneda. I work as the coordinator for the IDRC consortium, and we have 2 other staff that work with us. I have Melissa Shala and Evelyn Arevalo that also work. And our goal is to really help the states that we're working with, and then also to support all of MEP. And so we're going to I'm going to talk from the perspective of how we think that we can really support you in the field through some resources that I'm going to share. And so I picked this picture because sometimes you're running into the farmer and you're thinking, how on earth can I explain the program in a way that's going to really be beneficial to him, that he's going to see the point to let me talk to the workers? Or it may be you putting on your boots, knowing that you're going out into the field where there's a bunch of workers and you're trying to think of how you're going to talk to them and what you're going to say, and maybe get the crew chief to talk to you. And so I feel like we have a lot of opportunities where we're always walking into something new. And so it's one of the things that I love best about IDNR, and it's also one of the things that I don't like. So it's kind of a double-edged sword sometimes. You're always running into new circumstances. So migrant recruiters really, really need to be very well prepared and really think out. And we're always saying, get outside of the school, really get out in your community and make sure that you're able to really canvas your area. So we're always asking, what do recruiters need? We asked this, we do monthly trainings. Years ago, right when the pandemic started, we weren't really doing webinars at the time. And then we felt like recruiters might need ideas. And so we started doing these monthly webinars, and we've kind of continued to do that. And we can see the importance of all of us learning together. The program is a very complicated program, and we're hoping that the resources and tools that we share can kind of simplify that in a way. So I really appreciate the speakers this morning when Francisco was talking about ways that they're thinking that in the future we could possibly simplify. But right now, that's not our case. We don't have a simplified program. We have a lot of different things that we have to look at to try to find for eligibility, to try to find families, to try to look at the challenges that families are facing, and then to really try to hopefully serve the kids the best needs, the best way possible. So when we were just kind of thinking of what recruiters need, very first thing, you need knowledge. And so I'm going to walk through some tools that kind of help build recruiter knowledge. And we will send everybody the links to all the presentations. You should have gotten an email yesterday that kind of showed where that Google Drive is. We'll add more as we, throughout the week if there's extra resources that need to be added on. But feel free that, any of the links, this presentation that I'm going to share, there's a PDF version in the Google Drive, and it does have all the direct links to anything that I reference. So you should be able to find those easily. Melissa, if you can, she's also on. If you want to drop links as we see different things, we might be able to do that in real time also. So in the area of knowledge, I'm going to talk about a few things that we have. One is we have a national recruiter assessment. And this is a 40-question test that it has randomized questions. So if you take it with a colleague, you'll get different questions. But the assessment is based on all the areas of eligibility. So a recruiter might say, why on earth do I want to take an assessment? Because MEP has so many different eligibility requirements, and there's so many reasons how you have to be able to really be able to apply the different eligibility criteria. Sometimes it's helpful to take the assessment and see what maybe is not making sense. So we definitely don't think of this as just a pass-fail kind of thing. It's more of, here's all the eligibility areas and multiple questions related to each one. You take the assessment, and then we're able to give supervisors or the recruiter themselves kind of a breakdown of how they did on the test. They'll get an automatic response as far as, right or wrong. But then we can also look at the areas that they had the most questions with. And so I'll show in a little bit some of the areas that nationally we kind of struggle with. So if you click on this link here, it's going to take you on our website. Make sure I'm sharing my screen. Just to a thing that says, hey, you got to go to the class marker site to begin the assessment. So this is state-based. So if you are in a state that's not an IDRC state and you say, I really want to take the assessment, we'll create a folder in class marker that we use for your state. And we can give you a code and you can take that assessment and we can give you that breakdown back. We really try to do it state down so that, for example, if you're in Texas, the new member state, anyone that wants to take the test later on, you'll learn more about how you can take that. And we like to do it statewide. That way they can kind of see areas that, Texas recruiters might be having a harder time with, or Colorado recruiters. So it's very state specific that you'll get your results back. But you'll, right there on the slide, that's where that's going to take you. The next thing I want to talk about is we have monthly scenario examples. We used to just send out a newsletter that would kind of have a scenario and you could kind of think of the answer, and then you'd wait 15 days and we'd give you the answer. We tried to change where we give you a walkthrough of a scenario. We feel like sometimes it's just helpful to listen to someone explain. And so we try to be really thorough in these. And so if you click on here, it's going to go to our YouTube page. And on our YouTube page, we have it broken down into different topics, and we do have a scenario section. And so this is just the scenario section. We have had requests for the scenarios to be in Spanish. So we just put one in September in Spanish, if you'd like to just hear someone explain the eligibility. Evelyn does those for our office. And so she has put that information together and really looks at it and thinks through it so that we're walking through that whole scenario. If anyone wants the PDF, the files for this to work with it, on with your recruiters, you can always request that. But we do put those out once a month, and you can just subscribe to our YouTube channel and just go ahead and, get those as they come in, or you can watch for our newsletter and you'll be able to access it that way. We also have an eligibility flow chart. I think we shared this. We had the Recruiter Invitational a week or two ago. We shared this. This was our attempt to actually put all of the eligibility criteria in more of a flow of how you might, when you're sharing, when you're talking to a person, make sure you can see that. When you're talking to a person, of like how you would think through, like one thing is to learn the eligibility. Another thing is to think, okay, I have this possible migratory worker in front of me. How do I ask all the questions? And what are all the things I need to think about? And so the first page is really thinking about how to determine if there's a migratory agriculture worker or fisher, with a bunch of different tips and reminders because of the complexity of the program. The second page really says, okay, now I've determined whether there's a worker that's eligible. Now let's look at the children in the situation and see if they're possibly eligible, and it walks you through that. Third page is where we're nationally having a challenge of really determining the QAD, the most recent QAD, and also the residency date. And so this really walks you through that process. And we have lots of trainings. You can go to our YouTube page and see a bunch of this. Then we have the COE comment section, which we'll probably have to update here with the new COE from OME. This has not yet been updated. And so this would be an example of, a flow chart. And so let me go back to the slides. This is something that our work groups worked on this year. One of the really cool ways of working in the consortium is being able to be on one of what we call our technical support team. So these are usually someone that has a lot of experience with IDNR in a state. States send us one or two member states. They send us one or two representatives, and they come to meetings, and they're the ones that help design the projects and the work that we're doing after our state steering team kind of gives us the direction they want us to go. And so this particular tool, let me share this. For a while, we had something called our mini quizzes. Like you could go and just take a quiz about qualifying moves. And it doesn't change. It's the same 10 questions, but it gave you a good explanation of why you got your answers, wrong or right. And people were using those. They were used all the time. But then our work groups felt like, well, maybe we're not taking this as far as we possibly could. Maybe they're just going into qualifying moves and they haven't really had a training on qualifying moves. So we definitely do not want our training to ever overshadow anything locally. We believe that there is nothing better than a person that's sitting directly with a recruiter that knows the guidance, that can walk through the guidance and explain things. These are to supplement this. This should never be, oh, you're a brand new recruiter, just go to IDRC, figure it out, and you'll learn all the rules. That's not how we envisioned it. But we do realize that not everybody is getting thorough training. And so we're trying to really buffer that and help provide more information. So we have everything broken down, just general eligibility. Then if you're just focusing on the migratory agriculture worker. So I could study this migratory agriculture worker, and then I can go over here and just take the worker quiz and see how I do. I could then look at the qualifying arrival dates, or we also have I guess I should go here. We have a general eligibility screener, which will give you the results right away. This is the basics. So if you got several questions wrong about qualifying arrival dates, for example, you can then go and study just that. If you just want to listen to somebody explain all the general eligibility factors and include all of these things, you can listen to me ramble at you for 31 minutes, really walking through just the thought process of looking at these different areas. And then we suggest that they go ahead and take these mini quizzes to make sure it makes sense. We would never want a new recruiter to take the national assessment until they really have got these mastered, feel really comfortable, and then you can take the national assessment. So I haven't really paid attention to see if there's anything in the chat box. Okay, don't see anything yet. So feel free to, if you have any questions or comments, you can add those in. I know I'm just giving you lots of information. So then the newest thing, which I think we've shared this on several webinars, and we shared this in one of the meetings in the Recruiter Invitational, we have started doing ag industry profiles. These should get a lot more added on there. The idea of these was from our work group. We have an ag industry work group, and they were feeling like some recruiters may not even be comfortable or understanding all of the different areas of an industry. So maybe you have a little bit of cotton in your state. And so let me share just a few slides of this one here. This is a little bit of our overview of the cotton industry. I live in Tennessee, and when I was coordinator for Tennessee, we had on West Tennessee, we had a couple areas that had cotton, and we had some gins that brought workers in from Texas every year. And so this was not something that I was familiar with all the time. Later on, as you know, where I live, there wasn't a lot of this, so it was really beneficial for me to learn, how does this work? Like, when do they need workers? When is it mechanized? And so these profiles try to kind of answer some of those questions, where it explains kind of the industry itself, you know, how it's used. Like this, it says 1 bale of cotton, approximately 480 pounds of clean cotton lint can make more than 200 pairs of jeans or 1,200 t-shirts. So I would have no idea when you see that bale. They are big bales. Sometimes you can hear about, there's different types of cotton. One's upland cotton and the other one is Pima cotton. I know I've seen shirts that are like, this is Pima cotton. I had no idea what that meant. So upland cotton comprises the vast majority of production. The primary difference between species is fiber length, with other small differences. So you can go on here and there'll be a map that kind of shows where cotton is grown in the, in the States. Texas is the largest producer with 40%, and then other top cotton producers you can see. So we've got a lot happening in Texas, and then some of those families are going, to work in cotton in other places. Kind of talks about how it's grown. So the same mentality is in each one of these different profiles for you to really be able to look and understand. It talks a little bit about the gins and the qualifying activities, and what happens after ginning, the price of cotton and how that impacts. And then you can kind of see common crop alternatives. If cotton's not doing well, include corn, soybeans, and wheat, though in some areas they may do peanuts instead of cotton. So you kind of can pay a little attention of what, if cotton's not going well, if the price is going way down, your farmers might grow something else. And then there's the National Cotton Council. And so at each one of these, in the end, we try to put some sort of resource that you could reach out and learn more about cotton in your own state. So there's a bunch of these, and you can really, check those out as you want. The forestry industry, for example, we did a full webinar on these. Right now we're working on a very in-depth one about the poultry industry, but we'll add a lot more on here. And we hope that this is a place that new recruiters or even seasoned recruiters can go and really learn about industries that they're maybe not as familiar with. And so this is part of how we believe we can really support your, your knowledge related to not just knowing eligibility, you need to know the crops and the seasons and all of those things that are happening in your state. We also have our Recruiter 101 modules. So these are just general. If you didn't know anything, our work groups felt like they just wanted some general training that a recruiter could really listen to, one that starts it out with what makes a great recruiter, 2, what resources already exist, 3, how to, the understanding the migratory agricultural worker. The 4th one really looks at the qualifying moves. Sorry, I went too fast. The next one gets familiar with the COE. Next one is really ideas of how they should be working in the field. And then, all right, you've done all these things. When you get back home, what do you do? And so that we have that module. One we push all the time is our balanced recruitment training series. So if you're a school-based recruiter and you're a little bit uncomfortable going out in the community, this really walks you through all different ways that you could work with schools, you can work with farms, fisheries, forestry, and agribusiness. And then you can canvas housing. It was one of my absolute favorite things to do in recruiting, because if I can't find them at work and they're not at the school, they're going to be home. And so on a rainy day, it's a good day to do housing. And so you want to make sure that you know really how to do that, how to find it. It's actually a mindset to be able to say, how can I find the housing that would be possible migrant families in my community? Like, what do I need to be asking? Where do I need to be going? How would I find that? Am I supposed to go to every single housing place in the county? No, but there are certain indicators that you're going to be looking at to find that transitional housing. And the questions you're going to be asking in your community of where is the easiest place for a brand new person to be able to get rent? Because a lot of our families are coming in quick and they need to be able to get in somewhere fast. And so that excludes a lot of housing that may require a lot of requirements to be able to have. And so you want to really know how to do that, how to find that. And then when you get there, do you need to knock every single door, or can you ask 2 or 3 people, and when they start telling you the same thing, you can know? Sometimes we don't leverage the resources of people knowing their community and knowing their neighbors. And so this just kind of walks you through that. And then the other thing is we feel like there are a lot of community agencies that we are really not partnering with. We have the ones that maybe in our schools, like our Head Starts and things like that have been partners with us for a long time. But then there's all of these other agencies that will either have resources that could benefit our migrant families, or they're working with the same population that we can really work to develop that recruitment network like they used to always talk about. And so those are really important things to look at. Check the chat box. Okay. So like I said, our YouTube page has tons and tons and tons of trainings on there. More, I think we just looked at the number of them. There's like 100 of them. So of course, you don't have to watch all of them, but go in, like we did a webinar on recruiting new populations. We have one about data. We've got Google Maps, just anything that we felt like would be beneficial related to IDNR. We do have them on topics on our YouTube page, and you can go through and access those. We also have a strength assessment. This is something that is probably a tool that we probably should put a little bit an easier place to find on our website. It is with the Balanced Recruitment series, and it's asking you to really look at what kind of recruiter are you? Where are you most comfortable? And then can you identify where you are least comfortable? Because I guarantee where you are least comfortable is where you are not going as much. So this just really looks at, this was created by our work group here, goes on and says, how comfortable, how much time did you go to agribusiness? How much time did you go to worker housing? How much time did you go to local housing sites? And you really just do a check of your own work that you do and where you're at. Where you like to go and where you don't like to go. But we all need to understand the reality that if we are not thoroughly canvassing our communities, like Francisco said earlier, I think there's more families out there. We don't think that we've found them all. So what do we need to do? We need to get outside what we're normally doing because we're already finding those. How can we expand? And so as it says here, farms or fishing, how comfortable are you speaking to the agribusiness owner? How comfortable are you speaking to large groups of workers at one time? That is a strategy that you need to know. You walk in, it's one of those things that you've got lots of people looking at you, and maybe it's a lunch break and you have 10 minutes to get their attention. What do? Do you say, hey, my name is Jessica. I work with a program that works with families that are new. We're trying to figure out who's been here less than 3 years. Hey, you got to do something to get them to start answering you, but you have to talk to the whole group at the same time. So what are some strategies? Are you comfortable with that? And so today we're not really talking about that, but that is something that we do provide training on. Then you look at housing. Are you okay going door to door at a trailer park? Are you okay going door to door in the apartment building? Are you all right going to the H2A camps, or do you feel really uncomfortable? Or maybe you're like, hey, I'm not going after a certain time, but I'm okay going at this time of the day. So you're really just rating how comfortable you are with that. Sorry, I went too fast. Then we also have looking at community and school. So there's a whole really in-depth assessment that you take yourself. And then you go back and you look at like, okay, how can this not just be something that I identify that I have a hard time with, but how can I get some support? So maybe supervisors give this to their recruiters, not to just say, oh, wow, I see you're not comfortable with housing, but to be able to say, let me know where I need to support you at. Let me know the area that you feel like you're not most comfortable. So maybe you need to go with another recruiter. Maybe you need some strategies or some ideas or some support to be able to do that better. So is there a question? It says, will you be able to share how to access the Google Drive with all of the links in this before the session ends? We can drop the, before it ends, I'll drop the link in there for this. You should have gotten an email for that, but we'll go ahead and put that in there. Okay, so we talked about knowledge. Now you need to know where to go. Let me back up. We talked about knowledge related to kind of eligibility and your general, what you should be doing. Now we want to talk about where you need to go outside of the school. So I feel like recruiters in general, the majority of 75% of the recruiters are very comfortable in school. There are some states that it's the opposite. You're not school-based, you're agency-based, and you're not really able to get into the school, but the majority of you are very comfortable in the school. Let me see if I see anything. All right, everybody will get the message, so we'll go ahead and send that a bit. So those of you that are asking for the Google Drive. So every recruiter in the country has access to the following. And so if you don't know that you do, we'll show you where you do. You already have access to farms in your state, H2A and H2B work orders and housing sites. You already have access to farm contractor lists, farms that receive subsidies for agriculture in general. You have your GAP farms, which are your good agricultural practices farms. These are farms that receive, they receive training on how to handle fruits and vegetables. Trailer parks, you have a statewide Google map of all the agriculture that we could find. We have a listing of meat and poultry processors for you. We have key agriculture agencies, and there actually is a way for you to find the number of farm workers in each county. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you'll definitely really like this link. If you already are familiar with the link, I would encourage you to go back and check it every now and then, because we have been adding more things to it. So go ahead, and Melissa's going to drop that in. She already has that in there. So every single state has these resources. Our member states do have more. That is because we do appreciate the support from them that allows us to have the money, money to even do the program. And so our new member states will be getting more and are getting more on their site. So we'll be training them on how that. So let me just see who's paying attention here. The first person that puts their state in the chat box that wants to see their state resources will look at that state. So the very first one that came in was Texas. Okay, so we'll check out Texas's resources. So if you click on Texas, many of you are going to have very similar things. Very first thing will be a state agricultural resource Google map. And my computer will probably sound like an airplane if I try to click on it. So I'm not going to click on this. We do have, let's see, what's the state? Okay, we do have a list of all the migrant ed. Here, we added this too, just if people are like, I wish I could know how to contact Georgia, or I wish I could know how to contact a different state. We have that listed. The next thing we have is a list of participants that received subsidies. So larger farms in many cases will receive subsidies. This may be for grains, it may be for corn, something that's not related, or it could be very much, it could be due to weather, but these are specific farms that have received subsidies. We have the farm labor contractors list. Let's see if I can make this maybe a little bit bigger. Every single farm labor contract is supposed to be registered. There may be a few that are not, but the majority of them are. There is a list. We update this periodically. The last time it was updated is in May. And then we have a map of where they're all located. All of our maps have the password IDRC as if they're a batch geo map, you can click on that. Let me see if I can just open one of those. Let's see what you see. So these are Texas contractors. You can see in the south part of it, they've got 194 right there. If you go closer, it'll allow you to be able to actually see it. And then you can literally click on it and you have the information of that particular contractor. So let me close that out. We also have the H2A and H2B listings. I don't know if those of you that have been around a long time, we used to go to the deleta.gov and go click on it and try to pull it down and copy and paste. Melissa from our office does a lot of work on this where she keeps these updated. You do not have to do that anymore. You can literally open this up and you'll be able to see your H2A and your H2B orders. This was last updated right here. This is Texas on 8/22. So last month, these were updated. And so when you go down, any of the yellow ones are the newest ones that were just added on. And then the other ones are the ones from the months before. And so we also have on there, we know that work orders are one thing, but you might not be able to find them at work. So you can then also see the housing, and we have the same thing. She does all the work to be able to go through so that we can see the housing sites. And if you're going to use a Google map with this, if you're going to make your own, just a reminder to pull this top little line out, but you can just access this and download it and be able to have this. Everybody has, every single state has these. She does them, every 6 weeks, every couple of months, those are updated and you can see those. Here are the GAP audited companies and farms. These are good agricultural practices. These are voluntary audits that verify that fruits and vegetables are produced, packed, handled, or sorted. So these are going to be farms that have fruits and vegetables, and you can see them. We also have aquaculture. If there's these were new things that we've added here in the last 6 months or so. Aquaculture, so Texas is any of those aquaculture sites throughout the state. We have a list of trailer parks. And some people come back and say, we have this big red thing that says here, the list has been provided to give you an idea where trailer parks are. Not all migrant housing will be trailer parks. This is just, FEMA has a listing of trailer parks. Sometimes trailer parks are a good place to look. They rent monthly, and it could be a good place to find transitional housing. So we also have a map of those. We have the USDA egg and poultry meat processing inspection list. So this is, USDA actually updates this weekly. We update it periodically. You can go in there and see that. And then we have some maps. Then we have a list of, these are Texas specific that we just got through a Freedom of Information request that Melissa's been working to try to add more to. We have a list of nursery permit holders and a list of egg licensed businesses. We also have our hemp list, businesses that are growers. And then we have lots of different agencies and associations for your state. And let me check my time, see how I'm doing. If you scroll down, we do have an ag census query tool that you can click on, and you can actually see the number of farm workers in your particular counties. And so you can click on that. And so just for the sake of today, I won't go completely into that because I have a few more things to share. So those are all on there and lots and lots. So let me just show you, in case you're like, you lose a link to the presentation and you're not sure where to go. Let me share you through our website. Let me just show you where we got that from. So if you go to our website, I do our website, so if it doesn't make sense, it's my fault. But here's the logic. When you first go to the website, we do have all of these things on a menu bar up here. But the way we kind of think is we do have a search bar right here, but then we have everything that recruiters, all the resources we have for recruiters are right here. Click on it. We've got all the agriculture resource stuff is right here. So those things that I'm showing you right now are over here. We have training resources that are specifically to help you with your knowledge there. And then we have just general resources that might be helpful for you to be able to know. Then the next thing we have are the resources that you can share. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And then we have some resources for data staff. So these things that we've been mentioning so far have all been under this link that you should be able to find that way. Okay, let me go back to my slides. Wherever I put them. What's that? I don't think this is where I was. So let me go. Okay. So let me share from this slide right here. Okay. So now we feel like we kind of know like those lists. You may be like, what am I supposed to do with that? You can make Google Maps with it. You can look at our big Google map for your area. Go visit them, find out try to talk to workers. Don't just drop flyers around. Go try to see when you can talk to workers before and after a shift. See if you can talk to the farmer, see what ways you can best work with them. So when you are going to go out, let's see, there's a comment. The strength assessment. Okay. So when you are going to go out, you don't want to be with nothing in your hands. I've gone with recruiters and they'll say, oh, we'll give them something later on. That is not an effective way to go out there. So you're going to go up to a family, you're going to ask them a ton of information. You're going to promise them something about a program that they don't know, and you're not going to have anything in your hands. Like, that is not, so supervisors, if you don't provide anything for your recruiters to go out, we really feel like they should have something in their hands that kind of calms the nerves of the family, shows what the program is about, have something that's actually beneficial to the family at the time of recruitment. And so we're going to share a few of those things that are available for free that you can use, that everyone should be able to have. So let me click on the next one. So we have English in Minutes. This was something we created many years ago in Tennessee. I think I might have seen one of our staff that was involved in that years ago. So what these are, if you click on this, let me see if it shares my screen. If you go here, I know that not all migrant families are Spanish speaking or learning English. And so this is a resource for those that are learning English. So if you click on here, and you open it up, they don't require a PDF. It's just it's a web book, and you can click on here and on the bottom, I don't know if you can see, and change the pages. And the cool thing about these is you have the Spanish, you have the numbers here, and then you have how to write in English, and then you have the phonetics. So you can be able to go through and say 2000, 2008, and be able to, if I was reading in Spanish, that I would be able to pronounce the words right. And so that is a real challenge when you're learning a new language, to make sure that you're understood. And these were focused on really helping them to be able to have the pronunciation guide at the same time to know how. There are 5 books. They are not cumulative. They all cover different subjects. So you can go on there. And then all the audio is right here. So if I'm a recruiter and I have absolutely nothing in my hand, I literally can tell on my smartphone, I can say, hey, we have some resources. I can through WhatsApp, I can send you a message, or I can text it directly to you and you can listen. Now, I could be a lot more creative with this. We also have on our website, under the resources to share, if you click on Learn English, and make sure I'm sharing this, we have the English in Minutes. We have the ones we made also in Tennessee years ago with their OneSided Conversations. When we first made them, actually my husband and I were working on them, and I was just thinking of everything that a worker might ask. And so if you click on there, and you open this up, it's totally one-sided, because we were like looking at, I would like to have an appointment. Well, you can then ask that, but when they say, oh yeah, what time? You're like, crap, I don't know about that. I just wanted an appointment. So that's kind of the flaw of this, but they do enjoy these. They do have the same kind of phonetics. And so that's why when we made the English in Minutes, we tried to look at the full conversation. And these were created probably 22 years ago. And so if anyone worked with me in Tennessee, we use these all over the place. And once they learned one, we had more books, and they could call our 1-800 number and they would get another book. And so there's a lot of ways that you can use this, but bring something in your hands. And the audio of this is also available right there below it. We have some really good books from South Carolina. We wanted to include that with accents. And so they have kind of Southern accents on there. I think and they're really well done. So we just focused on the ones that had the phonetics, and you can see this. And then we also we taught ELL for years off of those books, and we kept our resources, and you can print them. It does say you can't print it without Spark Innovations. Spark Innovations is mine, so you can print that. And if you need me to send you an email, then we can send that to you. But if you go through here, we actually used to sell the English in Minutes books to raise money for scholarships for migrant kids in Tennessee. But we stopped doing that when I left Tennessee, and we also didn't want people thinking that was like, if they're not free, then it looks like you're kind of trying to promote something to make money off that. So we just put it out there free for everybody. So if you scroll down here, we have lessons that tie back to specific books and specific pages. And these focus on when you're teaching on speaking, reading, writing, and listening aspects, and to use those books. So you can definitely use that. All the PDFs are right there. You can make any of the copies that you want. And so here's just the PDF and all of the audio if you wanted to use it. We also have, for growers, let's say you say, well, I have these books we give to workers. And then the grower says, well, I really wish that we had something. And so this is the same idea. And it has the phonetics for an English speaker trying to learn Spanish. And so we have all sorts of basic things to understand personal information, parts of the body, seasons, and there's a working section for the actual grower if they ever wanted to speak some more Spanish on there. So there's a really long one. There's just a short guide, and then there's an actual like pretty in-depth guide that's I think there's like 60 pages or something. This for the same kind of thing as English in Minutes, but for someone that's learning Spanish. We also have a Somali English dictionary that we also created, and so you can kind of check that out. And then we had a state specifically want resources for Swahili speakers, and so this was everything that we could find that was free online that anyone could access. So feel free to reach out to us and say, hey, I wish there was this, and we'll look and see, and we'll add that to it. But you should definitely have one of those things in your hand when you are going out to talk with families. You should not go without, anything in there. So that's just on the area of language. We also have, I know I have to pay attention to time. We also have our student and family learning portal. We have lots of trainings on this, so you can go to our YouTube page and really learn more about this. The idea of this is recruiters can have something in their hands to really be able to teach parents how they possibly might be able to help their kids with reading or writing or math in 9th grade through the resources that are available on this portal. And so that's a whole nother training. We're not really going to do that today, but if you go to the link, you can see, check out this training video right there, and you can listen to the training that's specifically on that. So a few things that are in there is there's an instructors page. Some of you are, direct instructors, and you have to show something where you can show gains and you can show that kids have been working on it. And we have a page on there specifically for instructors where we have a whole bunch of free trackable math, reading, and ELL websites that require a login. So these are the ones that require email. All of our other ones do not. We specifically wanted the kids to be able to go on and play and learn at the same time. But this one particularly, you can go in and actually get those trackable ones that are free. So if you wanted to set up something for your kids, if you're doing tutoring, you're going to come back and forth with families that you could use. Something just really fun. Maybe you're trying to get somebody to fill out forms and you have kids going crazy and you want to be able to show them something really cool. We have some virtual field trips that's one of the parts of the portal that kind of just lets you see all these different things all over the world. Airpano has like 3D full panning pictures that you can go and go to the Bermuda and click on it and be able to see what it looks like. And so these were just more of like discussion points and things that you could have with kids, and that's also included in our portal. I'm just giving you a real short overview. Another part of the portal is we believe that kids should be read to, and so sometimes parents are like, well, I'm not sure, I'm really not comfortable with that, or we don't have books. And so Storyline Online is one of my all-time favorite ones because they do a little bit of animation with the books, but you can listen to somebody actually read to you, and it's really well done. I actually used it with an OSY class years ago, and they enjoyed using it. So you can have those books for them, that you actually pick some of these books and you give them to them and you suggest it, but it's just one of those things that's in our portal that we really like. We also have a welcome to MEP page. And so this is something that started recently from our work groups. And if you look at the page, it's on that resources to share section. We intentionally kept it kind of just this. Basically, the work group said we wish that all migrant families would at least get some basic information when they join the program. Basic resources, that it didn't matter if you were in South Dakota, or if you're in Tennessee, or you're in South Carolina, that there would be some basic things that you always got. And so one of them, let me go ahead and just go to the website where it's at. So you can see, so this is under our resources to share, and you click, we have the welcome. So you've already seen the learning portal, you've now seen the language, now we have the welcome to MEP. And if you click on here, here's where you can translate it. On a smartphone, this is a little bit weird. So then there's a little link that says translate site. So that's why we have two of those things right there. It'll go into any language there. And then we have like welcome to MEP, click on the links below. Findhelp.org is one of our all-time favorite resources. You can go in, put your zip code in, and you can put it in another language. I'll try to put it in Spanish. And I know that's not we could put it in Somali, but I won't understand anything. But you click on it, and it will then go there, and then you can change that language, but it'll give you food resources, housing resources, goods, or, you know, like things you might need for your apartment or for your house, health. And if you click on it, it will then let you see all of the different health related resources. So I can go over and find something with dental care. It will search in my community and it will tell me exactly what's available. And I can go through and see those particular programs and resources in my area. So that's the first thing that you see on there. Then we have the portal. Then you scroll down. This is a tool to really be able to find your local school district. So they're not sure where they're supposed to go. They can go in, click on this, put their address. I'm just gonna make up one. See if it works. And then it will then search and it'll tell me, okay, if you're right here, here's the places that are closest to you. So it's a pretty cool resource. You can find a health center. So this is working with the National Farm Worker Health Program. They have, if you click down, they have the health center map and you can kind of teach people how to use that. Maybe they need to find a Head Start program. And so you can put your zip code in there and find whatever Head Start's close to them. There also is the jobs and career information. And I know people say, well, you know, not all of our families are going to go to a one-stop. But if if agriculture is what they're looking for, you can actually put, you know, those particular area that you're from, and you can see any of those jobs that are around. Right now they have no jobs. So you can look and see that. We have the Learn English resources, and then we have the Provide a Referral. So these are all part of that, you know, what's specifically available for anyone to be able to share and anyone to be able to use. So make sure I'm sharing my slides. Okay. So we're running out of a little bit of time here. I want to make sure I cover a few more things. So we also have, over the years, we have done supply bags that we're switching over. Our member states are able to access this, and then some people buy them at cost to be able to just have them for their states. We are doing something new. We'll have heat safety bags, those that went to the Recruiter Invitational. We were talking a lot about how now it seems like before we had like COVID bags or student supply, we're realizing that heat is becoming such a major issue for so many of our farm workers that we wanted to do a little bit more work on teaching them. We know that we can't just say, hey, you need to drink more water, or you need to, you know, rest more, when they might not be able to get more water and they might not be able to rest. So we are switching the supplies that we have, and we are working on some for our member states, and then we'll make it available if anyone else wants to purchase them. We are looking at, and that money, it's not part of IDRC, it would just go to help replenish so that we could continue to offer those. So we have Trioral as an electrolyte that the World Health Organization offers, or they recommend basically, and it's the right kind of electrolytes. So if someone is majorly dehydrated and has the heat, that this will really help them not have as much kidney damage. We have bandanas, we have cooling towels, which are pretty cool. They're just towels that will literally stay colder longer. And so they suggest that workers can put it around their neck because you have so many veins that are moving and blood flow goes through, that it's a way to help cool off. We have ice packs that are more like, it has a side, I actually have one right here, that it has a side that's kind of like a fabric, and then it's ice pack on the other side. And so they could actually put it in a hat or on their neck or somewhere to kind of cool off. And then in case of emergency, we have a temperature. So if someone that's like a sticky, it's a sticker that you can actually put on if it looks like someone's really might possibly be suffering from heat stroke, you can check that temperature just right away. So we're feeling like we shouldn't be getting them things that they could easily access. Like, oh, well, here's some soap, and here's some shampoo. Those are available in pretty much every community, but these kind of things are really harder for workers to find. And so we're looking at adding to our MEP page more information about heat safety and things of how these tools could be used. So that's something new. All right, I think we're just about getting close to we also wanted to have those resources to be able to share with farmers. And I think I've talked a little bit about that. We have that practical Spanish book that you can share. You really want to really talk about the benefits of how it's helpful to their workers. And this is something that you could have. We also have a web page that's more kind of to market to farmers, because sometimes they'll say, well, can I see your website? And then you're thinking, dang it, it's my Department of Ed one that doesn't have anything in my Migrant Ed, or maybe just has a paragraph and I'm not sure what to share. And so our work group also suggested that they wish there was a generic site that could kind of be used for agribusiness or for farmers. And we have this on our website. You can access it under the recruiter resources, and it just says like farm ag website. And the idea was, I've got an ag, a Tyson or an ag producer in front of me, and he's wanting to see something. And so this just goes through and says, generally, it's very general. You won't see Migrant Ed until you really look through it. It just says we work with agriculture employers and agencies across the country. We work to help children and youth overcome gaps in their education. And then we provide resources, we determine needs, we develop partnerships. And there is like a little, let's see if I can get it to, there's a little counter that talks about member states, what's generally offered. If they know of someone that might be eligible, if their workers are eligible, there's like a pamphlet. Let's see if that works. And if they're wondering about the cost, we have some testimonials, and then we have some general kind of producers information. So this was just to help recruiters have something to better market to farms. And so we'll update this periodically, and it's something that everyone can access. So all of our resources are on our website. All of those ones we've shown you are totally free. You can access. The only different one would be if you decide to get the key safety bags. Of course, those cost money because it costs money to buy the materials and to make those. So if you're interested in that, you definitely can reach out. Our member states do have access to get some of those throughout the year. We really appreciate the support from all of the states, and we really hope that the resources that we have for you are beneficial, and hopefully you're able to access those whenever you need. If you are one of our member states, you do also have the chance to really provide a lot of feedback and suggestions. And so we'll get started with our new states really next month with our first meeting with our state steering team. So we're excited about that. But we will continue to always share out what we have. We very much believe in making sure that those resources are available for everybody. And so we're not all reinventing the wheel and trying to do things that someone else has already figured out. So yes, I see it in the comments. Happy to be a member state. We are very excited to have the new states that we have, and also to work with all of you. So I'm going to we're going to finish just a little bit early today. So feel free to reach out to us. These resources are for you all, and hopefully they will make your job as a recruiter a little bit easier. So appreciate all that you do. We appreciate you joining us. So that during the next 2 or 3 days, we'll have lots of different presentations from the SIGs, and I really invite you to go to as many as you can to really learn those resources, because there may be something that you're just weren't aware of. But definitely, I know all the SIGs are trying to make things that are relevant and helpful for everybody. So really appreciate this. Like I said, we will, I'm going to stop recording, and I am going to